The Bhagavad Gita throws this really radical idea at us, something that completely flips our everyday understanding of how things get done. It's all about creation, but not in the way we think about it. So, just for a second, let me ask you this. What if creating everything, the stars, the planets, you, me, what if all of that took absolutely no effort at all? Not a single drop of sweat? Now, that probably sounds impossible, right? I mean, our entire lives are built around effort. But the Gita suggests a totally different way of looking at it. It's a model of creation that isn't based on doing things, but on just being there. And this is the fundamental split between how we humans create and how the divine can manifest an entire reality. Okay, to make this really clear, let's think about a carpenter building a table. Simple enough. The carpenter and the wood, they're both part of the same physical world, right? They exist on the same plane of reality. And because of that, the carpenter needs tools, needs time, and has to put in real physical effort to change that wood into a table. It's a hands-on job. But here's the big twist in the Gita's model. For God, it's not about doing anything. It's all about being. The whole universe, in this view, is actually on a lower, different order of reality than God. And that one single distinction, that difference in reality, is the whole reason creation can be completely and utterly effortless. I know, this sounds super abstract, a little out there, but the verses from the Gita give us this incredible analogy to help us get it, and it's something we all experience, the world of our dreams. Just think about it for a second. Every single night, you create a huge, detailed, complex world inside your head when you dream. And how much effort does that take? Zero. Not one bit. The moment the dream starts, that world is just there, fully formed. So, how in the world does that work? Well, first, you need to be conscious, right? A dead person can't dream. And then that dream world just appears, instantly. It doesn't use any time or resources from your waking life. All it takes is your conscious presence. That's the only ingredient. And in the very same way, the Gita is telling us the conscious presence of God is all that's needed for the whole universe to just appear. All right, so we've looked at the personal universe of a dream. Let's scale this idea up a bit. What about a social universe? This leads us to our next analogy, the king's silent power. This one is all about the idea of enabling power. The verses put it perfectly. The king may not do any work. However, if the king dies, the powers of the ministers will cease. See, his authority doesn't come from what he does. It comes from the simple fact that he is. The king's job is simply to be. His presence is the source of all authority in the kingdom. Now, the ministers, they're the ones who actually do all the work. The power flows from the king's passive existence right to their active hands. So in this picture, God is the king, and the creative force of the universe, which the Gita calls illusion, that's the team of ministers. Now, that word illusion is really important here. It doesn't mean the world is fake or doesn't exist, not at all. In this context, illusion is the creative power that projects and keeps everything going. You can think of it like the raw potential energy of the universe, stuff that's totally inert, until it gets activated by the presence of God's consciousness. And that brings us to one last analogy, a modern one that really helps lock this idea in place. It's grounded in the physical world we all know, the current and the motor. Think about an electric pump pulling water from a well. The electricity itself can say, hey, I didn't do any work lifting that water. And you know what? It would be absolutely right. The motor did all the heavy lifting. So the electricity, that's like God. It's the silent, steady presence that enables the work without actually doing it. The motor, that's like illusion. It's the active force that gets the job done. But here's the key. That motor is just a useless hunk of metal without the presence of the electricity. In exactly the same way, God's presence enables illusion to create every single moving and non-moving thing in our universe. So when you put it all together, the dreamer, the king, the electric current, they're all painting the same picture. It's a concept that philosophers have called the unmoved mover, a source of all action that doesn't act itself. This model really gives us a clear step-by-step process. First, God exists, just exists, as this pure, unchanging conscious principle. Then, sparked by that presence, illusion acts. It kind of borrows consciousness and existence from God to do its thing. And finally, as a result of that action, the universe manifests. So you see, God is the ultimate source, the fundamental reality, but not the construction worker of creation. And this whole cosmic idea leaves us with a pretty fascinating question for our own lives. If the Gita's model is right, if mere presence is the most powerful creative force in the universe, then it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Where is your presence focused?